SAWDC is the Southwest Alabama Workforce Development Council. It represents Region 9, which is one of the regions that was set up by the Governor's Office of Workforce Development.
It's really an umbrella organization, if you would, that kind of manages the overall workforce development system. What we found was when you ask people to describe workforce development, they'd have lots of different kind of definition of what workforce development is. And when we started setting up SAWDC, we recognized that we needed to manage that system in a very strategic and comprehensive and integrated manner, because I think what you find a lot of times in workforce development as we kind of evolved over the years, there were lots of different organizations and agencies and bureaucracies of state and federal level, and they were really kind of going in a lot of different directions. And then what we needed to do was build a quality system that's built vertically. And in order to do that, we created SAWDC, which is an organization comprised of 75% business and industry members to kind of manage that overall process, to kind of be at a 50,000-foot level, if you would, kind of managing the partners that are all involved in creating an effective workforce development system.
In most communities, workforce development is scattered among a range of different organizations, not only the nonprofits who actually implement programs, but you're also talking about intermediary organizations. As you can imagine, there are an array of partners and many moving parts in the constellation of workforce development in any community. And you need a third-party neutral body that actually brings the data with regard to the facts, and then to work with others, and particularly industry partners, to adjust, modify the efforts that we are involved in that will really speak to industry needs. And that's really, I think, the strength of SAWDC.
Well, if you read our vision statement, it talks a lot about creating a comprehensive integrated workforce plan. And then ultimately it talks about impacting our quality of life. So there's a lot at stake, and the only way you're going to impact that quality of life in such a positive manner is to do it in collaboration and in partnership.
Businesses align with SAWDC because they are not only planning for now, but they're planning for 20 to 30 years in the future. And so their ability to be involved with SAWDC is critical because it not only takes into consideration what they feel their needs are going forward in terms of the workforce, but are able to also help modify existing programs and activities that will be more amenable to future demands in this market.
Workforce development is always an issue with any company, whether they are considering a new location in your region or whether they're expanding in your region. In some instances, like I say, we're trying to retain companies, and a lot of times workforce is an issue for them. It's probably the single most consistent driving factor when companies are looking for a location.
The work that we do when we bring in a company that's looking at an area, looking for a place to put a new facility, the first question they ask is the workforce available? Are they going to be able to recruit, train, and maintain a workforce to help them be efficient, productive, and successful in their business? I can tell you without a doubt that if it were not for our ability to prove that we have a qualified workforce, a quality workforce, ThyssenKrupp would not have come to this area. Also would not have had the success and expansions that they've had. We wouldn't have the Airbus project that we recently announced for the A320 final assembly line. Those projects would not have happened were we not able to prove that we have a qualified, quality workforce.
When we were tasked with really taking and staffing this investment in this facility, I was excited when I heard and found out about this organization, SAWDC, in the progress that they had made in developing some of the workforce. The people that in the workforce that we were able to hire up to this point, you can tell that there's a base, a solid base of foundation in their work ethic, the quality of the candidates that are coming in. So you can see the beginnings of some of the things that SAWDC has done over the last few years, really taking root and making change on the way that we interact with with the community leaders as well as the business leaders in the schools.
Well, with SAWDC, they not only partner with us to prepare for our future workforce, they're also working with incumbent workers to train them, give them more skills, improve their status in the community and for their families, and then that opens up those entry-level positions as well for our newer people just graduating from school.
You know, in healthcare, there are a lot of folks who are who may be considering re-entry, that are out of the field for one reason or another. SAWDC hopefully creates a culture where we can have not just a focus on training a new workforce, but retraining and providing opportunities for folks who maybe want to go a different direction. SAWDC is a great example of partnerships making a difference for the community. To me, it is a great example of how businesses collaborate with the education community and other agencies to make sure that the needs of businesses match up with the training and the education that's going on.
Through SAWDC, we at Bishop State have formed several partnerships with business and industry whereby we were able to participate in training of individuals for certain skill sets for business and industry. And SAWDC collaborates with the business and industry to afford us an opportunity to know what the needs are so that we can provide skilled laborers for our region.
With the partnership we now have with SAWDC, we're bringing in more resources to allow us to share more training opportunities in the community, to educate more individuals on careers in healthcare. So it's really turned into a great partnership and has opened up some resources that we never even realized were there.
I guess over time we have been very successful in working collaboratively with SAWDC, not only to bring to the table the National Fund for Workforce Solutions, as well as attract other resources.
So if we're closely aligned through SAWDC as an industry with the education programs, we're going to be more able to accurately predict for that workforce where they might fit in. We have been into the schools, you know, all throughout our region, talking to those children about career choices, even in the early grades.
And engaging students and future workers through Wouldn't It Be Cool and World of Opportunity. That really kind of plants the seed at a much earlier stage in these students' development.
No, I think that SAWDC has opened up the doors for some of the students coming up through the system now, and making them realize, or allowing them the opportunity to realize, that there are careers out there, provided they get the skills and the technical skills that they need to really earn a very competitive, stable, and wage, and it's a career that's going to last them through the years.
Start planning now the curriculum you're going to take the next 4 years in high school, so that when you get out of high school, you'll have lots of choices. You can go to a 4-year university, you can go to a 2-year community college, technical school, trade, or go into the workplace. So again, it's putting in kids' minds that really what you're in school for is not to walk across the stage and get a diploma. You're in school to prepare yourself to get a job, to sustain yourself and your family in life.
From a national perspective, SAWDC is one of 32 national workforce solutions sites.
It's been very exciting that a lot of different communities around the state and beyond are noticing what's happening in our region with SAWDC. And a lot of those communities are asking us to share our story with them, and they are hoping to repeat in their communities what we're doing here. That's exciting.
Without SAWDC and the efforts that they are undertaking right now, we would have a much more difficult time in economic development proving our case.
What I would tell another company coming into this area, that if they were looking for a workforce that was ready to go, and a workforce that already had the skill set necessary for them to be successful as a business, this would be the place to be. And it's all in part of the efforts that SAWDC has made, about the business community leaders have made, the commitment that the educators have made, all making this happen. So it's all groups working together in order to be successful.
The ability to bring industry to the table, private philanthropy to the table, as well as the public sector, I think is rather unique. And SAWDC's work enabled it to be selected as one of 32 sites for the National Workforce Solutions Fund that would not have happened if not for the model that exists right now. It has a very clear and succinct business model, strategy map that describes the work that it plans to do, what it brings to the table, what its value added is here. And I don't know if people really recognize with the reach and breadth of the organization with such a very small staff. If you are a business or an entity, a corporate entity that's locating or decides to relocate here, it is in your best interest to not only be a seat at the table, but also to be a contributor for what I believe is excellent work that's done by the organization to project the needs and then to work with those industries to create the types of training programs and other activities that help support their development and sustainability as entities in this community.